praise song again and ask Karen Baird to sing a solo this time. I think Karen's one of 4 people that may have actually known that song, but that's okay. We will continue to sing it and learn it. Good morning. You might suspect, as you listen to the gospel this morning, that it's good cannon fodder for pledge drives. Did you get that subtle hint about giving to the emperor and giving to God? John Knopf gave us the pledge introduction last week, so we're going to lay off that. We're going to continue as we go towards All Saints' Day, as Henry very correctly told us. We're going to continue, however, to reflect on the fruits of the Spirit. We've been all fall after Labor Day using, it's printed in your bulletin if you want to take a look in the sermon section, Paul's wonderful teaching from Galatians. The fruits of the Spirit, these attributes, these experiences that are part of God's own nature that get grafted, they get put into our lives. It's part of the deal about being a Christian. And we've been reflecting Sunday by Sunday on each one of these fruits of the Spirit. We only have 2 to go, one after today. And so I'd like to take you, let's not go to Virginia Seminary with the most tragic Halloween house you've ever seen. I'll never do that again, I promise. Let's go instead to Turkey. Would you travel with me to the Lycus River Valley? I know you all know that that's a tributary of the great Meander River that weaves its way through central and western Turkey. I know you know that there's a mountain valley with 3 communities. It's very reminiscent of our valley. Let's see, it's Colossae, it's Laodicea, and it is Hierapolis. You may know Hierapolis by its Turkish name, Pamukkale. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's got the beautiful white pools from the limestone that's been pushed up by the force of volcanic activity, and the water springs out the top, and it's produced these fairy tale pools. They're very beautiful, and they're one of the great sites of pilgrimage in the world. And so I traveled in 2013 on the Eli Lilly Foundation grant. Does anybody remember my sabbatical in 2013? You know what we call Eli Lilly in the Episcopal Church? The Church's One Foundation. That's when you sing that song, we're talking about the Eli Lilly. Anyway, I went to Pamukkale, and there's a spring that's a healing spring. I know the Bairds have seen it. It's an ancient spring, and you're supposed to go in there if something's wrong, and you'll come out well. And so I wanted to visit the spring. I brought my swim trunks, and no one told me that some old Roman columns had fallen into the spring during an earthquake centuries earlier. So as I got into this water, and this is even better than Glenwood, really. As I got into this water, the smell was different, first of all. It was effervescent. It was like swimming in sparkling water. It was tingling all over my body, and it relaxed me. It was warm, but not hot. The sky was blue. And I was floating over these columns, and I'm thinking, I'm literally swimming with history. I turned upside down like any good Floridian knows how to do. I put my arms out, put my head just under the water, and it was quiet. The first time in years that I actually heard quiet. My inner narrative stopped. And for 20 minutes, I hung over history with my arms out. It was fantastic. The spiritual gift, the spiritual fruit that we are reflecting on today is peace. Peace. Would it surprise you to know that it is the most discussed and least experienced fruit in the Bible, in my opinion? 249 times the word is used in Scripture. You may have heard the Hebrew word shalom, or if you travel with our Palestinian Christian brothers and sisters, the Arabic translation, salam alaikum, peace be with you. The word shalom is a very powerful Hebrew word. It means harmony or accord or order. Everything is in its proper place when there's shalom. Everything's right with the world. The Greek word is as beautiful, irene. If you've ever heard a Greek name, some people name their children irene. It means peace. The verb means to join. So irene has the sense that everything's fit together right in life. And that's the word that Paul used to describe God's fruit of peace. Now, let's just test out my theory that this is one of the most repeated and least received words. When someone dies, do we say rest in love? I'm just asking, feel free to answer. Rest in joy? Rest in real estate? No. What do we say? You're offering the eternal gift of someone that we love, and the one thing we ask that God grants them for all of eternity, it's peace. Please give me the hand signal, the hand sign for love. Hold up your hands and just, I know everybody knows it, the love sign. Everybody know the love sign? Okay, just a few. Yep. How about the love sign for joy? How about the love sign when the woman this week backed up in the Vail roundabout because she missed the exit and she knew just what to do? She backed up, to get to the right exit. Everybody remember that hand signal? Okay. All right. Everybody knows it. Now, is there a hand signal for peace? Was anybody, come on, alive in the 1960s? What is the hand signal for peace? Right? Isn't it funny that we only have a hand signal for one good thing? Don't turn it around in the Middle East. That means something very different. Isn't it funny that we have a hand signal for peace? How many people say, hey, peace out? I'm tapping out. I'm leaving. Peace out. Have you heard, I'm really working on my inner peace. I have a peace deficit and I need some inner peace. Have you heard that lately? Yeah, you get that with a punch card, don't you? Okay. How about this? Have your parents done this? What's that mean? Hold your peace. Whatever you're going to say, this is not, do you know what that figure means? Not the right time. That's what it means in our house. And it's this figure. Every husband in the world may know when you say the wrong thing and you want to make it up to your wife, or you bring them a gift to make it better, and we call that, husbands, what do we call that? A peace, thank you. Every man here was clueless, thank you, Shirley. A peace offering. A peace offering. We want to make it we want to make you feel better by purchasing you something. How about peace of mind? Has anybody bought peace of mind? It's available for sale. Anybody with insurance will give you peace of mind. I mean, it's a retail transaction, but you can purchase that, I'm told. When you're in a conflict with somebody, what do we say? Could we make peace with them? Or, you better leave her in peace. Just leave her. It'll be all right. We give guns, we give ammunition to people and authorize them to keep our communities safe. And technically, by statute, what are these people called? Isn't that interesting? They're not called love and joy officers, grace and forgiveness officers. They're actually called peace officers. This word is used all the time. And I think people have sometimes such a limited experience of what we talk about. Let me take you to Tampa. I've told the story many times, so I'll keep it brief. 1984, South Tampa. 2 years earlier, my parents separated when my first semester, when I went away to college. I got the news of my parents' separation on a payphone at Kellum Hall at Florida State University. My mother left the house. Guess who I blamed for my parents' separation? She got an apartment 2 years. I never saw her step foot in that apartment. This is what happens in a Scottish family when things get wrong. She bought a new car. She was so proud. First car she ever bought for herself. I never got in. I would never step foot into that car. I returned every letter she wrote me. I never took a call. 2 years. That's what it looks like when the kids are hurt. In the summer of 1984, I get a call from my dad. Son, I haven't seen you for a while. Why don't you come over and have dinner? Dad, was great. I was at school now back in Tampa where I was raised. I drive up to my house. My dad's car is in the driveway. The truck is in the driveway. Everything looks normal. I open the door, and who's sitting on the couch? My mom. Those of you that know the story. She says, come in. I say, why? She says, I've given you 2 years, and this is enough. We need to be reconciled as mother and son. If something happened to me, and it stayed the way it did today, you would never forgive yourself. So your father's removed all the breakables. That wasn't actually true, we found out, but and I'm here. I've cleared my schedule. Yell if you want to yell. Throw stuff if you want to throw stuff. I am not leaving this house, and neither are you until we are mother and son. I yelled a long time. I did break stuff. We had it out, and I had it on. At 5:15 a.m., we were reconciled as mother and son the next morning. And we stayed reconciled until the day she died. I learned how to be a parent that day, that evening, that morning. Peace is not just the absence of conflict. There is something about détente. Emily's elevating our French on staff. Détente. It's not just an armistice. Peace can be an absence of conflict, but the Bible says it never stays that way. There's more to God's fruit of peace. It's a harmony of relationships. It's looking around our world and realizing that everyone is how they're supposed to be. Everything is in its proper place. Everything is reconciled, it's put away, it's okay. It's all right. And that kind of personal gift of peace is a very powerful fruit indeed. And some of us need to go find that. Some of us need to work on that. Some of us need to confront that the way my mom did. But that deep, personal sense of peace, that our relationships, the people that God has put in our lives, it's okay, it's all right. To the best of our ability, as much as we can, that we are living aligned, reconciled, and peacefully with the people around us. Barney Dill, a wonderful member of this church who died, told me once when he was quite ill, I had one rule about being married. I've always wanted to be happy rather than being right. At Barney's funeral service, his wife stood up and said, for a decade, she never heard a cross or ill word spoken by her husband, not one time in 10 years. How many husbands can wives say that about? That man lived a peaceful marriage, even when he was ill. Relationships properly ordered There is a biblical word when they're not. It sounds rather dirty. I love to say it. Akatastasis. Isn't that a great Greek word? Akatastasis. Rough English translation, train wreck. Relational yard sale. Everything is a complete mess. And the Bible says God's got better for us than akatastasis. The personal peace that comes from a reconciled life. The Bible talks about peace, meaning that we reconcile to ourselves the lives that we've lived. Security, safety, prosperity, and reconciliation with ourselves. Have we done the work of forgiving what needs to be, asking God to forgive the places that are hurt and broken? Making peace with who we were back then and who we are now, the life that we're being given. Haven't you met people? Haven't I been this person that was so dissatisfied with everything around? I never understood the blessings and the provision that God was giving me. I was so unhappy. And I missed all the gifts that God had been giving right in front of me. To reconcile, to have peace with ourselves. And that's a very powerful peace as well. Grand Junction, 2013. I was called to the bedside of a mother of one of our members who was dying. So I get my big priest gear on, and I drive out to Grand Junction to save the day. Because you know, clergy in hospitals, we look like doctors in those dramatic series. There's music playing. I walk in to bring aid and comfort. To stand with people that are hurting, because I'm a cleric, and that's what we do. I walked into Grand Junction, St. Mary's Hospital. And I walked into a chapel. It was a hospital room. It had turned into a chapel. I didn't bring anything. I received something. The woman who was dying looked at me. She broke out into a big smile. And she said, "I'm going home. Thank you for taking care of my family." This is one of the most impactful things I've ever heard as a priest. She said, "May I pray for you and your ministry?" I'm like, "What? I'm here to be with you." She prayed a prayer on her deathbed for my family and my ministry. We held hands, we sang camp songs, we read psalms together, and she did not die, she transitioned, and it was beautiful. Can I tell you that the Bible talks about two dimensions of peace that for Christians we really need to understand. The first is that our peace does not come from a punch card. I do it too. Restorative. It's really fun. It comes from God, given to us. When we pass the peace, in just a moment, if you're visiting our church, be aware it's rather full contact. When we pass the peace, we're not passing our own disposition. We are passing the gift that God has given us through Jesus' life and death and resurrection. It's a privilege to reach out to people you don't know and offer the peace of the Lord to them. It's a privilege to receive it from you. It's a gift from God. And I believe it's a gift that only God can give. Paul said, we use this at the blessing at the end of service, the peace of God which truly passes all human understanding. Be in your hearts and in your minds to know the knowledge and love of God. That's the peace that we're passing. And that's the peace that we are supposed to receive. It transcends anything else in our lives. Only God can give us this gift of peace. Can I tell you that God also gives us assurance? You remember Monty Python? Meaning of life. Do you remember the old guys in the insurance company? And it's called Blessed Assurance. Friends, it's an old Protestant term. We have blessed assurance. The word peace in the Bible does not mean a life free from conflict or challenge or tragedy. That is a lie. That is an incomplete view of Christianity. If someone tells you that, they're trying to sell you something. Walking the Christian life means that we know the destination. And that can never be taken away from us. This woman in Grand Junction knew where she was going, knew who was treating her, knew who had her, and that's why she was able to transform this hospital room into a chapel. Blessed assurance. God has us. And nothing and no one can ever take us away from God's loving arms, loving hands, loving heart. Blessed assurance, confidence, tranquility, contentedness, no matter our circumstance. My last story. A gentleman in our church facing a terrible diagnosis. We sat together several months back. I looked at him and I said, what do you want to do? He said, Brooks, I win either way. If the Shaw Center works, I win. He said, if the Shaw Center doesn't work, I still win. He said, you've taught me that I win either way. It's one of the most humbling things I've heard in a long time, that sense of complete tranquility and trust. Friends, as our service continues, we're going to pass the peace in just about 5 or 6 minutes. Today, may I invite you to not only give and share the peace with your neighbor, I always do, Emily will today. May I invite you to receive it as well. That deep gift of peace that only God can give. A beautiful assurance.